Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us and welcome to, I think, our first official broadcast of season 18. We waited a little bit longer than I think most people would have rather anticipated, but we bring you some very special action to recognize some of the highest achievers from the regular season as we kind of turn our attention to the postseason and the playoffs as well. So, this will be the Noodle Cup series, the All Star game, the first of a two-game set. There is currently an alternate broadcast for the Western Conference participants. This will be the Eastern Conference participants, and then we will have the final matchup of East versus West. So without further ado, we'll try and get everybody that we can in the lobby and get this series underway. I will briefly apologize. It is a solo effort here right now, so we've got just me trying to handle a whole bunch of different things. Trying to get everything just the way that it should be. So this first series will be a best of 5 between, I believe it's the 8 members that were selected for the Eastern Conference to determine which of the two sets will go on to face their Western Conference foes. On the one side, you've got T-Man, Delta, and Toco Loco for this game number 1. On the other side, you've got Bean, Pepper, and Doge. Take the field for East number 1. Already a couple looks on both sides. Either able to kind of break the mix, but as you see the best of the best on the field, so it might be a little bit before we see anybody break through. I expect defense to be maybe one of the hallmarks of this All-Star series, although if you look at professional sports around the various leagues, that a lot of times they kind of just abandon the concept of defense entirely and just go entirely for the offensive output. I believe that's kind of the case for the NBA, and might even be for much in the MLB as well. Although with the MLB, you do have that home run contest. Minute and a half gone by. Still looking for one. Doge gets an infield pass from the corner. It doesn't really find its ultimate target. Do like the idea. East 1 being able to kind of advance a little bit further up the field, but Toco Loco looking for a teammate. It's one of the things that you see when you climb up higher in the skill levels of the respective leagues. Gameplay just gets a little bit faster. The reads get quicker and more precise. Still do have a little bit of time on the ball, as Bean will exemplify there. Still an opportunity to show out with those mechanical plays. T-Man. What they got in the tank? They get the flip reset, and that awful preset of theirs, they just go low, and nobody's able to defend that. And just like that, we get our first goal on the board. This T-Man does something, well, I wouldn't say quite special enough, but it did look like they did get the reset. They ended up not needing it entirely. Just a little bit of confusion on that green side. The opening tally. Delta has a little bit of time, but not a lot of boost, so they're forced to flick over one early. T-Man will take over, and they can double the lead pretty effectively from that distance, and they will do so. The shot just off of the wall. They beat one, and the defense beating the second as well. Beautifully done by T-Man. All of the offensive output so far going through that toothed wheel preset, as we've seen them rock for so many seasons before. Almost seems like it's something that they do on stream, because I think that they've played a couple games now that I've seen that haven't been streamed, at least not on the mainstream, and I don't think they were in that kind of preset, but whatever makes them feel the most comfortable, and they're certainly in their element right now. East 1. Get to put anything on the board. That's a great shot and a rebound opportunity. Once again, saved away. Pepper taking a lot of time, but they get cut out by Delta. So the attack will break down, and in transition will be East 2. Toco Loco looking for Delta on the inside. T-Man rushing in as well, so nobody is back. Have to retreat all the way on the fast break opportunity. Doge off a great pass from Bean. We'll get the green team on the board. That's exactly what happens if you overcommit on the offensive end. You leave yourself open for a counterattack opportunity, and it was very quick going down the other way. Game number 1 still very far out of the realm of being decided, although it is running a little bit low on time. East 1, fresh off of that offensive output opportunity, able to garner just a little bit more momentum, it looks like, off of the ensuing kickoff. Toco Loco with a flip reset. They're going to go high. Two players well aware of that on the backboard, able to cut that attack out right before it could go into the net, and Bean will send it further down the field. Wants to go to the side wall. They will grab the boost at that midfield line as well. Delta looking for one more touch. Not going to quite be able to get it. Toco Loco being called into action off of their own backboard. Pepper waiting. Unfortunately, their little bit of a clearance gets interrupted by their own teammate. Sets up Toco Loco for another opportunity. They get the flip reset, and they will add to the lead. A little bit of defensive confusion once again sets up East number 2. Executed to perfection as well. Somebody other than T-Man getting on the board for East 2. I think at this point they'll just take whatever they can get. With the final 10 seconds going to be on the screen, counting away. East number 1 has their work cut out for them. They might have tried to execute a little something off of the kickoff, but they needed it, and they didn't get it. Bean wanted the ground pinch, but the ball will instead just roll slowly on as time expires. And East number 2 take game number 1. It's a pretty healthy margin off the back of some great play from T-Man as well. Possession a little bit surprising in and of the fact that I expected it to be a little bit more in favor of East number 2, but all that being said, possession is not the end all be all of anything. It's all that matters is what's on the scoreboard. At the end of the day, T-Man, of course, leading in most of those categories, just getting outshot by Toco Loco. But a pretty well-rounded effort on the half of East number 2. East 1 trying to get the green team on the board first, and it's an offensive rally. Pepper, no boost, is going to have a low chance of opportunity to kind of put that one in with the amount of pace that they could put behind that ball, but they still haven't cleared it, has this East 2 team. Eventually, they'll be able to get it out. Strong opening 30 seconds for the team in green. Now it's Bean trying to go over to Pepper. They do connect, but it is slightly off target. Toco Loco directs that ball further into the corner and eventually off of the rebound down the field. Working, waiting. T-Man will circle onto this ball. It's actually works as effective pass for Toco Loco, trying to find Delta and get a little bit of a three-man passing play going off of the backboard. Here, I think that's kind of the forum that you would go for. It's not really a quote-unquote official competition, so you might as well just try some crazy things and see what sticks. Got those back-to-back-to-back passing plays. Hey, take it off of the ceiling, go all the way down. Triple flip reset, why not? long as it leads to a goal, I mean, I don't think anybody would really care. And the more flashy mechanics that they bring out, I think the better the show might actually end up being. But still much the same as it was in game number 1. A little bit of a slow start offensively for East number 2. Neither team able to kind of crack the ice. Have a really good opening 30 seconds for East 1. They really haven't been as threatening as they were. And East 2, off of some ping pong ball in the 18. It's a fortunate bounce off of a dunk from T-Man. So even if they're not putting the ball in the net themselves, they're certainly facilitating things for the rest of their team. And Delta in the right place at the right time, able to take advantage and put East number 2 up by 1. Bean gets a flip off of the ball. They'll have to backtrack as they grab that 100 pad and get back to playing defense. Pepper plays the ball high. They'll get one more touch. Doge is looking for a continuation, but plays it just a little bit too far out in front of their car. They'll find themselves, this green team on the offense. 2 players combine to make the save and touch it out towards the corner. A miss in the opening, and it's that what they were looking for. Being able to capitalize, and just a defensive structural breakdown on behalf of East 2. Toco Loco trying as hard as they could coming off of that backboard, but ultimately did not have the momentum in the correct direction. Just like that, we see things tied up right on the south side of the halfway mark of this game number 2. Pepper, one touch, and that's about all they're going to get. It's in the relative vicinity of Doge. They take their time. They get one more touch past everybody on the defensive side. Toco Loco, a little bit of a giveaway off of the backboard, and Bean says, I will take that from you. Thank you very much. And it's back-to-back goals for the green side. That 4th defender not doing a whole lot for East number 2 as that ball goes bar down and in. So, matching what we saw out of East number 1 in the opening 30 seconds of this game. They were held scoreless, but didn't take long for them to be able to find a couple portions of that pay dirt. Doge gets beat out, and it's a fantastic downfield play, but they can't quite close it out. East number 2 still threatening as Toco Loco takes it from the corner. It was actually a pretty good possessive touch, but unfortunately they just get taken off of the field entirely, and now it's East 1's turn. Is there someone else available? Doge comes screaming in, I think all the way from their own side. They might have been taken off of the field themselves. The attack breaks down. Time running out for East number 2, but they do have possession in the offensive third. Delta looks. Toco Loco will come off of the side wall, looking for another touch. Will not get it. T-Man, we see what they can do. It's going to bounce favorably for a double tap, and it will go in. You can only delay it for so long, but T-Man is inevitable. They've already made their mark with an earlier assist on the first goal, but a little bit more direct this time on the second one. That's all the equalization that this East 2 team will need. East 1, they're not comfortable with the thought of taking it to overtime. They want to win this in regulation. And we see it again, just a little bit of defensive miscommunication. That's going to happen, especially in an all-star game with a couple players that may not necessarily be accustomed to playing with each other as much as they've been playing with their teams throughout the entirety of the regular season. So miscues and opportunities and openings will happen. Almost a chance for East 2 to bring it back level. They find themselves in the position that they were earlier. They're still down by 1. Doge has a lot of boost. They're going to go for the breezy. Pepper's going to finish it off as they could not clear that ball off of the goal line. That East 2 team, there's really not a whole lot that Toco Loco can do in that situation. They did about as well as they could. But unfortunately, the first player to the ball after that touch was from the green team. Now perhaps one more to go for the road as that ball is rolled in the direction of the net. T-Man trying to keep that ball up will not be able to do so. East 1. Bring this series back level. So it's once again T-Man on top for East number 2, but Pepper not to be outdone on the East 1 side, 2 goals on 5 shots. Bean as well. You could see just the speed. We talked about that in the opening match, how important that's going to be as they're able to get to the ball first. They can just take away those kinds of missed first touches from the opposing team. Now we've got a couple of substitutions. I think we want to get all the players in. So Hotspots comes in for Delta, if I'm reading this correctly, and JC Me Roland is on for the East 1 side. A little bit of a lineup shakeup, again, kind of contributing to an unfamiliarity, but all things considered, if you've made the All-Star roster, it means that you're pretty good at something, and that something might be shooting, it might be defense, and it might be just being an all-around good player. For these two teams, is that player going to be a decisive difference that they need in order to break this series deadlock? Doge is going to take this off of the sidewall, and T-Man running across the face of goal to make the save. Hotspots collects in the opposite corner, trying to get it over Bean, but again, the speed just too much to overcome. Shot not forthcoming, however. Now East number 2, we see Toco Loco do this. We've seen T-Man do it as well, trying to get that flip reset and go low. Not necessarily having to use that reset, but it's still a good tool to have in your arsenal, considering all the things that you can do with it if you have the correct setup. Toco Loco across, T-Man is there! They thought they were going to rotate all the way out, but they just see the ball sitting right there in front of the net and be like, hey, you know what? I'm here, and I can do something about this. And it's a great feed just across the face of the net. Normally, you would kind of see somebody in net being aware of that, but just there's so many things. That ball could pinch high and just roll right up off of the lip of the field and be completely out of the way. So the defender has a lot of things to consider. Unfortunately, they did not have the reaction time to get there first. And so in game number 3, we've come to our first goal a little bit quicker than we did in games 1 and 2. East 2 having a little bit more of the momentum off the back of that goal. Bean gets beat out. T-Man plays it back from whence it came, and either player being able to catch it on the rebound as this ball will go towards the backboard. Hotspots and Toco Loco in the same area, but Toco Loco will go. T-Man looking for a little bit of support, but neither player able to get on the end of it as they have no boost, and they'll have to backtrack into their own end. Play a little bit of defense. It's going to be Toco Loco, intercepted by JC Mirola. Nobody was really anticipating that touch. And almost caught that East 2 team out. Bean. They've been doing this all series. You play the ball in the general vicinity of where they're going to be, and they just go. And it's just so decisive that the defense cannot handle it. There's been a couple times in this game specifically where East 1 has had a couple touches, a couple turns, a couple challenges on the ball that East 2 hasn't really been able to accommodate and quite be prepared for. As it stands, one goal apiece. Bean across to JC. JC out for Doge. The shot off target. Transition play. Bean elects to go for the boost. A little bit of control. They get possession of pass two. T-Man has no boost, but they're in the right place to be able to send this ball across and delay the outboard transition just a little bit. And they might have been able to feed one of their teammates waiting in the middle of the field, but unfortunately crept a little bit too close, and the ball played with a little bit too much pace. Now Doge able to go to work. High, JC, down. Nobody available but Bean. Taking it back to the far side of the field. No boost. T-Man effectively works out as a clear, as it will get taken out by Toco Loco. Hotspot's having to race back, but that ends up being a pass for JC. And East 1 continue to tighten their grip. Bean, a little bit of a giveaway touch, but they will win the next challenge. Now it's JC trying to feed Bean. Oh my goodness, what a play. And unfortunately, once again, it's Toco Loco on the goal line trying to do anything in their power to keep that ball out, but unfortunately, it's not enough. And the nice give and go from East 1 puts their team up by 1 late in Game 3. And Doge, another uncontested goal for them to put it in, and just a little bit of a simple air carry. Add a little bit of emphasis. As you can see, one of the defenders for East 1 go flying by the ball. Or excuse me, East 2. Very confusing not having distinctive names for either of these teams, but we do the best that we can. The final 10 seconds. Counting down on the screen. Hotspot's going to bang this one away. Trying to find a teammate downfield, but will not be able to do so. And that ball will touch the ground. So now it's East 1. Having gone down early in this series, they have won the last 2 in a row. They find themselves now on series point. So now we enter what could be a decisive game number 4 if the results go the way of East 1. A very close series, I would say. In fact, that possession line hasn't really moved so much from where we saw it in game number 1. But the results, they've kind of been back and forth. I wouldn't quite say all over the place, but certainly each team has had their time in the spotlight. East 2 trying to remain in the fight. East 1 looking to close things out. Doge, air carry over into the offensive zone. Delta finds themselves back in the lineup. I believe that's a substitution for T-Man. The East 1 team, I think, remains the same from what we saw in game number 3. Toco. The first for Hotspots. Bean has a lot of boost, but they will lose that 50 out from Hotspots. Trying to continue this ball down. Intercepted by Doge. JC, not a lot of boost. Just going to lob it right on target. And Toco Loco in the defensive position. Trying to get that ball out. They will cycle back and make the save. Not quite able, being the clear that they needed. Doge, a touch, giveaway, as Delta will carry it all the way down to safety. Now you got to kind of wonder, with T-Man no longer being on the field, does that kind of drive the rest of the players on the team to pick up that gap that they have now left offensively? Because you could see throughout at least the first 2 games that T-Man was acting with impunity in the offensive end. Opportunities kind of dried up for East number 2 in game 3. So far, it seems like it's a furthering of the trend that we've seen throughout those first 3 games. It's going to take a while for that first goal to go in, but eventually they will do so. Hotspot's able to tuck that ball in right past the near post. You got to know what those comms are like. Like, Delta, please touch the ball. In fact, nobody makes contact with it, and East number 2, the benefactors of that. And so with that, they've equaled their goal total from last game, and if I'm not mistaken, they were the first ones to be on the board. You saw how well that went for them. Could this be the start of something that they need in terms of being able to come back from this series deficit? Delta gets a touch past the front 2 players, but the defensive cycle bailing out East number 1. And at least for the moment, it's still just a one-shot game. Delta on, a little bit off target, and Bean will deal with that ball. Trying to deal with the second one, but they get dunked. Toko trying to set up Delta. They get a little bit of help as that ball pops off of the near post. Might have been a little bit of an own goal, but hey, you got to put the ball where it needs to be. That's a great shot. So a multi-goal lead now for East number 2, something they haven't really enjoyed since game 1. Bean pops it high. Perhaps wanted to get a connection with JC, but either player really able to find contact with the ball. Now it's Toko high. They get the flip reset. They go low. Perhaps wanted to use it as a little bit of a momentum booster coming down to the ground, but ends up getting 50'd away. Hotspots off of the backboard. Finds Bean. JC trying to hold things up to allow the defense to recover, but nobody has a lot of boost on the back end. JC, they've got teammates at their disposal, and they were both on the same side. Bean just off target, so the chance will go empty for East number 1. Toko, see what they can do. They get the flip reset again. No, it's just a simple air carry, but it does enough to burn a couple seconds off of the clock and force East 1 to have to go all the way end to end. They want to try and at least get something through. Hotspots downfield out. Toko Loco was lurking upfield, but all never really got into their zip code. Doge, bouncing shot. Oh, finds the corner, but the bounce does not favor them. And that's been the scenario for pretty much this whole entirety of game 4. Close, but no cigar, as East 2 battles back to take game number 4, and they will force the decisive winner-take-all game 5. something interesting, I think, to note. We were talking about the possession stats in the earlier post-game screens. I think this is the first time that East 2 has had that edge in terms of the overall possession, and it comes with a victory, although that was the opposite case in game number 1. They lost the possession battle, but they were still able to come out on top. Coco Loco, 0 goals, but they still come out with the MVP for East number 2. You can see that on the back of 5 saves. And we've seen that a lot. I kind of want to draw a little bit of attention to that throughout the entirety of this series, where they have been the defensive stalwart for East number 2. They've played every single game so far. And it's just unfortunate for them, kind of on like most of the goal calls that we've had for East 1. They're just in that defensive position, and unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot that they could do about it whenever that goal ends up going in. Just a byproduct of being at that place at that time. So we're here right now, game 5, to determine who will go up against the contests from the Western Conference. In that All-Star game, in the All-Star game final for this Noodle Cup series. And, you know, for once, I think I would like to see a little bit of a deviation from the script that we've conducted so far. I wanted to see a goal in the first 30 seconds. We still may see one in the first 45, but it seems that it takes a little bit of time for the development to build up, for the resource deficits to become what they need to be in order for one team to kind of capitalize on that. And so the first minute comes and goes without a goal from either side. Hot spots downfield. Can they get it to T-Man? No boost in the tank, and a feels backflip man right on the goal line. Keeps us deadlocked at 0-0. Doge climbing the ladder, but beat out by T-Man, and now it's a 2v1 opportunity. T-Man gets the demolition, but unfortunately for East number 2, that ball bounces away to the corner, and they could not do anything with that power play. Try it yet again, and hot spots into an open net, an uncontested aerial, and a defender in the corner not quite able to get all the way back. That wasn't even a defender, that was Toco Loco. So the defense notably absent for East number 1 on that play, but East 2, they'll take that 8 days a week. Toco holding things at the midfield line. I wanted to try for a pinch with their teammate, but their teammate just a little bit too anticipatory with that. And going the other way, it's Doge tucking it right inside the corner, upper 90. They were denied in game number 4 with, honestly, what might have amounted to a whole nothing in terms of a goal, but they're able to defy the woodwork this time, bring this game back to a level playing field. T-Man off of the backboard. It was relatively undefended, so not the worst option in the world, but everybody backtracking for East 2. Doge and Pepper waiting. Bean is back. Again, not a whole lot of boost towards that backboard. They're just going to test it every so often to make sure that, hey, are you still awake? Can you still defend this? All right, cool, you good. And you can. Two minutes left. Still a one-shot game for both sides. That one's going to boom all the way down. That's off of the backboard, and T-Man, I had a little bit of a, I don't know if you call that a ground psycho, but a further redirect opportunity from their position on the field. Could have put a little bit more pace behind that ball back towards the East 1 net. It didn't really manifest that way. Still sets East 2 up for a little bit of time in the offensive zone. Doge downfield, trying to keep a little bit of contest on the East 2 net. Something that East 2 defense can't handle at the moment. Pepper runs out of boost, so they'll have to defer possession for Bean. Doge cycling back on the sidewall, an interesting tactic, but not necessarily something that hasn't been seen before. Toco Loco, they've got a flip reset. Are they going to use it? No. Might not have gotten the reset after all, but T-Man out for hot spots. Only finds Toco Loco on the reset. Kind of had this scenario in game 2, I believe it was. We had a deadlocked game going into the final 30 seconds. Might have been staring down the opportunity for an overtime, but East 1 went ahead and said, we want to win this in regulation, and then they went out and did it. But we see a little bit more late game heroics from either side at this point. Or is it going to be so close that we will be forced into an OT? You're going to keep it a little bit close. That might not have been the best idea. Hotspots playing it into a dangerous position as the ball pops high. Pepper cannot circle back around to it. And in this decisive game 5, it's going to take a little bit of extra time. Off the kickoff, it's East 2 with marginal possession towards the backboard. The double tap from Toco Loco. It's off target. T-Man trying to force it through. It's a fast break opportunity now for East 1. Pinching it, trying to get across. Not quite in the right venue for that to take place. Bean is going to go all the way down the field, taking away the boost from the defense. They get dunked. Doge off target, doesn't make contact. Instead, it's hotspots to the backboard. It's desperate defense for East 1. They're able to hold. Hotspots combines with Toco Loco. All it ends up doing is giving the ball away to Doge. Seen them air carry that ball a couple times now, being thought about it, but realized they were beat to that ball, and instead they decided to back off. Hotspots collects, tries their best too, but instead it pops away from their car. Pepper gonna force that ball on target, but they left Bean on an island by himself. T-Man, the contest. Hotspots comes screaming across the field as well. Bean, not a lot of boost, can't not direct it in the path of a teammate. So back and forth these players will go, and it's another shot from Pepper. Catching the defense a little bit slacking, but they dealt with it effectively enough. He-Man leaves it for Bean, and that's an open shot. The speed from the man on East. Number 1, the deciding factor in this series. It was evident so much in the opening games. And as the series draws to a close, it is in fact Bean who will take the crown for this East number 1 team. Cycling through, and at the most inopportune times for that East 2 defense, it was another player on the ball yet again. You saw it with the earlier chance from Pepper. It was really just a shot out of nowhere that the defense was not expecting. From there, it just kind of snowballs, and once you get a few boosts taken away from you, once you get your positioning a little bit out of whack, that is when those types of plays are at their most deadly. And so with that, East number 1 will move on to play the representatives from the West. And the Western Conference, I guess you could call it the semifinal for the All-Star game, is currently taking place on a separate stream. Let me see if I can get that link for you guys. If you look in community announcements, it's being currently hosted by Mr. Chris with a K. So they have the Western Conference. Oh, he's doing Macaroni League. Is he doing Macaroni League? Or is there a Western game being streamed right now? Either way, all I know is that the Western Conference games are being played right now. So we're going to throw it to a quick break. Congratulations to the Eastern Conference representatives. We'll have them and the Western Conference representatives when that game is decided right here on the main stream for the finals for the Noodle Cup Series All-Star game. Like I said, that's going to be it for right now. We'll throw it to a quick intermission and we'll be back with the grand finals right after these messages.
And joined alongside me in the booth is the wonderful Pi R Squared. Pi, I can't think of a better way to start off the postseason for United Rogue than getting some all-star action in tonight. And if you were already watching that last previous matchup, we saw the East team advance to the finals, Beans team beating out Hotspots just narrowly by a score of 3-2. And the off-stream match that happened, the Western Conference matchup, was a sweep. And so you're going to be seeing Mixed's team taking the field with Jat and Snipes. And Pi, we know that these two players, or these two teams rather, excuse me, were voted for a reason by NCS as the top dogs. So starting out in this matchup, going to be a best of 5 series between these two high flying action teams. I definitely think this is probably one of the longest running arguments in United Rogue, other than the fact that if Mixta can win a championship finally. Speaking of Bean, trying to start it off early, the East team having a lot of offense so far. And of course, we expect this. Bean is a very well-known player. He's known for his on-the-ball presence. JC Roland as well. And of course, Doge is that solid midfield presence regardless. A lot of aggressive play, though, coming from this East team, trying to just really unsettle the West, and they look to be doing a good job so far. Mixta, though, already with 2 saves on the board, and we know that Mixta, one of his strong suits has always been defense, so it's going to take a lot for this East team to really try to pick apart, to find some gaps if they want to get that goal early. Unfortunately, we've been talking to a wall because Pi is having a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're just going to take over for him in the meantime. It's been a while since we've done this, guys, so just bear with us. But regardless, here on the counter side, West team trying to get a little bit of offense going, getting the ball countered out. Jat, and a very interesting car design. Can't say I've seen that in a while. Mixta clearing it to the midfield. Quick challenge there by JC Roland. A little bit of time here, and we want to see really how these teams operate when they have time and possession on the ball, because that's going to be a big key here. Quick shot on target. Snipes will easily clear that one past midfield. Both teams getting a fair share of offensive presence so far. The East having more shots to their name as we approach this midway mark. Still scoreless in this game number 1. Quick past the infield, no one there to follow. Pi still putting in the work on those back lines. The trenches. Mixed a quick shot, denied off the post. Gotta love that backboard defense by the NPC. Snipes infield, no one there. Doja backflip, and what should have been a pass attempt turns into a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse goal for Snipes. So a quick goal here by the West after all that offensive pressure here from the East. Past this midway mark, right off the kickoff. Bean went for a pre-jump, but Snipes had that read very quickly. A lot of aggressive play here from both teams. A quick shot on net. Bean is going to easily control that one. Maybe not. Kind of awkward for himself. Is able to recover off the backboard and get a good clear. Mixta taking time. Likes to go for the possession, hits over 2, trying to maintain boost. And of course, in this league, you're not going to be able to have a lot of time on the ball. So when you do, taking advantage of that is extremely important. Clear to the sidewall, quick counterattack. Snipes passing midfield. Mixed is there, a little bit awkward though. I think they expected the touch just a little bit sooner. Quick demolition. We've seen a fair share of demos from both teams so far. A quick swing and a miss from both sides. Past the 90-second mark here, we'll see if we have Pi back.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to note that even though we've gone almost, an entire 3.5 minutes, it's still just a one-shot game between both of these teams. The West still on top. You can see a little bit of development from the East over the course of this game, but the West still stalwart on that defensive end as Jat plays it towards the sidewall, intercepted immediately by Doge. Not a lot of boost to continue that attack, but Bean is going to be lurking somewhere. We saw them in the earlier series to very great effect, figuring out exactly where to be on the offensive end and facilitating things enough to get the East their first goal.
There's a great infield here from JC Mirol and a nice shot placement from Doge. I don't think Snipes expected the teammate to miss right there, but that's a really awkward read and just barely catching them off guard off of the perfect placement. So now a tied game here, Pi, close to 50 seconds left. Both teams looking very even in their offensive and defensive attacks, waiting for that one mistake to try to capitalize on this game number one.
It took a little bit of time for the East, I think, to get their offensive positioning right and get their development going. See if that has brought them any further momentum, as Mixta has no boost on the sidewall, trying to get it in, but teammates nowhere to be found, as they knew that diving in on that might not have been the best idea. The follow-on opportunity bearing a little bit more fruit. Bean will take it over the top of JC Murolan, trying to spring themselves on the outlet opportunity. It will fall for Doge. They get the catch, but Mixta right on the ball once again to kind of close things out. Pass through the final seconds of game number one, at least in regulation. These teams might have something to say about trying to win it in that sense of the phrase, until we go to an OT period. 0 seconds, it will hit the ground, so we will have extra time.
Well, game one is typically all about the fills, what the other team is doing, how the other team operates, and most of the time it's not this close, but that goes to show you this is the All-Stars matchup. Either way, we expect a close series. So off the start, the West trying to play a little bit more offense this time around, straight off the aggression from the kickoff. Snipes infield off the backboard. Doge, a great read, still maintaining the boost, looking for a double, can't quite get it past Mixta. Jat just trying to be annoying on the back line, getting bumps. It's a great dunk from Snipes again. Picture perfect defense recovering off that bump attempt. That is 5 saves now for JC. It might have to be another one. Bean so awkward on the goal line. The East just struggling, hanging on for dear life right now. Still the ball lingering around, and Doge is going to try to clear it out, but Snipes right there again, and JC finally gets a pop out just for a few seconds of breath.
Kind of saw this again in the earlier series as well. It's just a couple players that may not be as comfortable playing with each other as they are with their regular teams, but between the two sides that we have right now, very evenly contested. We've gone through a full 6th minute of Rocket League to be played. Mixta trying to end it, but that shot was always going to be defended away unless some other intervention happened. Snipes, flip reset. They've got Mixta in tow, and almost ended rather horribly for that attack, but they ended up getting it through in spite of Mixta's best effort, Snipes' best efforts. Mixta enough force and momentum behind that ball to take game number one.
Well, Snipes did just about everything you could do, and then maybe a little bit extra, almost saving Mixta's shot, but that was a picture-perfect offensive play from Snipes. And speaking of Snipes, 724 score in game number one, 2 goals, 4 saves, doing a little bit of everything for his team. And when you look at the stats, it looks pretty even, but you see the East had more possession and more field domination, which honestly, I think, Pi, we kind of expected coming from more of a defensive-sided team from the West, but it really seemed like the counterattacks and the instant uptick of aggression in overtime was the deciding factor for the West team.
Yeah, and that's something that we saw in the earlier series against the two East teams as well. It was not necessarily a correlation between the amount of possession that a team got and the overall result. In many cases, it was completely flipped around. It was like, oh, we don't really care so much about possession as long as the ball goes in the net. And to your point, if you're able to execute effectively on those counterattack opportunities, well, you don't really have the ball for a whole lot of time, but you do end up with a more favorable result. And for the East on their side, you can see JC Muroland up there at the top with 503 points, 5 saves, the hallmark of that defensive effort on the East side. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough And you can see as well, just not quite a lot of edge in terms of the overall physical play, but there are on the plus side on the West for the overall demos inflicted.
Yeah, we definitely saw a little bit of that physical gameplay coming out, especially there towards the end of regulation. And again, I think the East had a really good game plan to start, but seeing if they can adapt is going to be the biggest question here in this game number 2. Again, this is simply for bragging rights. None of these players are teammates. That's an incredible pass from Mixta. And of course, we saw the pre-jump. And again, this level of play in NCS, for those who don't know, the Noodle Cup series, well, every league in United Rogue has had a salary revamp. And so there's a little bit more higher salaries. Some what used to be the lower end of Ramen Bowl is now in the Noodle Cup series. So we see a little bit of an uptick of play, a little bit more structure, a little bit faster paced, more mechanics, which is going to lead to these incredible all-star matchups. And here early on, we're getting close to that 4-minute mark. It's just about the same start as the last game. It's a great pass, but Mixta is able to clean it up.
Not quite out of the woods yet, but Jat will be able to take possession, almost catching out JC. They will get the dunk on the attempted clear, but Bean is available to take it off of the sidewall. Looking for something to get into the slot in terms of something that would be overall a little bit more dangerous in terms of an opportunity than something from sharp angle shot from the side, but that could open things up as the Demolition will take a player off of the field. Sean gets themselves taken off of the field as well before they can really do anything about it.
Mixta trying to keep this play alive, really just bodied through the whole team, but unfortunately it led to nothing as this team was just not prepared for it. Doge trying to get a quick shot, maybe a little bit too quick. Bean, just a quick volley to the midfield, denied by Mixta, low boost. Again, another pass infield, denied yet again. Sean K off of that forward Raptor. Jat, nice control, good boost management over one. I think he may have got faked by a jump right there. Bean starting this counter attack, and of course both teams really upping the quickness of their counter attacks, trying to find the other lacking. No boost for Jat, is going to have to take that one away. Sean K, a little bit of an awkward touch, but it does work out. The entire West team struggling on fumes right now. Mixta having to elect to get out of that play to go for the midfield. Oh, looking for the bump. Mixta instead pinches it out. Jat keeping this alive. A quick shot attempt, not quite there. Back around the loop we go. Another infield. Not the greatest touch from Sean K. Sets up JC, but couldn't quite get the touch.
Pretty interesting to see both of these teams. You can argue that you've got some of the highest level elite offensive talent on the field right now, but to be held scoreless, I mean, it's not altogether that surprising, I would think, either, because, you know, with great offense comes usually great defense as well, and they've done a pretty good job, I think, evening things out on both sides of the field. It's just trying to pick your battles and make sure that you're able to continue your attack when you're at the advantage and force those deficits on the other side. And those deficits could be positional. It could be making sure that you're at a numbers advantage at all times. And Sean, off the back of one of those earlier demo opportunities, trying to force things right down the gullet into the net. Unfortunately, the team defense for the East makes it unavailable on the goal line.
I'd like to see more of those possessions by Sean K, where they had so much space and they just took a quick air dribble, and it wasn't anything crazy, but it forced a double commit. And when there's that amount of mechanical talent and ability, it forces the defense to respect you. Sometimes maybe a little too much, getting a little bit antsy on the back line. Mixta, pass one. Jason Rowland is not really going anywhere with that ball, so it's going to force Bean to get a touch out. Sean K up very early. Doge off the back. We're trying to hit their teammate. I guess it is successful in the long run. Jat unable to get that one through. Definitely expected a touch. Doge trying to get this ball out. There's been an extended amount of time. The West has just had a lot of offense, but still held scoreless, both these teams. Under a minute remaining. It's pretty much been all offensive possession for the West. No goal quite just yet, but when is that defensive wall of the East going to break? Sean K, a good pinch midfield. Doge going to be there to get the cleanup again.
I think one of the things that the East is going to be vulnerable on is their backboard defense. It's completely wide open on this attempt from the West, and we saw that in the earlier series as well, the team commanding that lead by Bean. You can see a lot of the times that backboard was open. There wasn't really a defender parked to take away that high play shot, and they've gotten away with it so far with their reads from the goal line, but there's only so much you can do from that position. It's a lot better to be able to take a more authoritative direction from the backboard. Unfortunately for the East, the pressure just continues to mount. It seems like it's almost a matter of time from the West, and Sean puts it just off target. Cycle continues for the East, but they still stand tall. Can they get one at the end of regulation? That ball will hit the ground. So evenly matched teams continues in OT to game 2.
Absolutely impressive defensive stand there for the East team. Thorough and strong was that. Mixta trying to put it away in overtime, had the double, but couldn't quite get to it. Didn't look like he had enough boost. Still dangerous, floating. Doge trying to avoid a bump. Sean K with a fake. Jad, a quick shot is past him. Bean is able to get it, unrelenting. Oh, Doge trying to go for the crazy dagger to finish that one away. And oh my goodness gracious, still held scoreless after everyone had to take a sigh of relief. But not over yet. Doge clearing this one out. Sean K taking time off the corner. Looks for the ceiling pinch. Is successful. JC's gonna have to cut this one, trying to maintain the boost. A little bit of a heavy touch is gonna set up Mixta. Oh, good demo on the front line, but Doge, great read on the defensive side. Again, this East team really impressing right now with the defensive ability, but I'd like to see some of that carry into offense because no one wants to play defense for 6 minutes, and right now that's all they're doing.
Desperate, I think, is the adjective you can use to describe their defensive posturing at this current moment. And JC continuing that trend. They just don't have a lot of boost, and they can't get contact off of the rebound, as Mixta will continue the pressure from the West. Find themselves on the ball yet again. Another demolition comes through. It looks like a safety valve might have been released and allow the East to kind of push up the field, but doesn't quite come to fruition just yet. Bean trying to make the most of this opening. It's available in the middle of the field. JC down for Bean. A shot off of the backboard. Not on target. A little bit better, I think, from the East of this offensive cycle, but not enough to crack anything from both of these defenses.
But I think the East is trying to play off of maybe the West almost getting desperate on their own end of just trying to be like, all right, let's get this going. We've been playing offense for so long, and that can definitely lead to gaps and tiny lapses like we saw. The East had a few good looks right there, just unable to get anything to go. Still held scoreless 2 minutes into this. Sean K, a little bit awkward on the backboard, no one there to corral. Everyone from the East grabbing boost. Bean with a great challenge off the backboard. Mixta is there, solid on the line. AC keeping this in. Got a quick counter denied by Bean. Oh, that's such an awkward bounce. Doge again, just slightly off. The East cannot buy a placement, let alone a goal right now. Mixta elects to fake, but Doge is not having any of it. Trying to get the bump attempt, does force a double commit. Bean sidewall redirect, unable to get that one quite on net. And here we go in the loop again. Sean K past one, and Doge is there to clear it out.
Some good looks, but unfortunately not able to continue the trend. So far, it's the finishing element that I think has eluded both of these teams thus far. Jet defers for Sean K. No boost in the tank, though, and being able to be available off of that backboard to kind of just put things back into the corner. Mixta for Doge, burning all of their boost to send that one the length of the field. Bean with an opportunity. They go towards the back post, but the defense is there. Doge finally puts it on target. Past both of the defenders who were busy, preoccupied saving the earlier shot. And we get the final breakthrough. Over 8 minutes of gameplay in game 2. Man, that's got to be exhausting.
Well, you had to wonder who it was going to be. And truthfully, if it wasn't going to be the East, you had to wonder if that would have been the series. But a quick dagger, the only goal of that game, Doge puts it away off of an unfortunate double commit from that West team on the backboard. And this time around, Doge said, all right, time for me to have the spotlight. 723 score, 5 saves, 1 for 2, being up there with 4 saves, a defensive masterclass from both these teams, but obviously the East able to capitalize at the end.
And you look at those shot totals in effect, and that really kind of is a microcosm of the whole story that we saw within this game. The West just putting on the pressure, not really relenting so much. And they didn't really have to play a whole lot of defense when you could see, considering the amount of saves that the East had to make. But On the other end, you play enough defense well enough that you find yourself in the right position when the time comes. You could see Doge had an earlier opportunity on one of their offensive possessions that went just off of the post, just a little bit off target. But eventually, you get enough of those reps, they will come around. And man, you want to talk about that, but you can look at Mixta at the bottom of the scoreboard. Not indicative of anything that their score or whatever, but 6 demos. Believe that they call that an exterminator in Rocket League terminology, but keeping the other team off of the field usually means that you have a mismatch somewhere, but fortunately for them, it didn't really buy them any success in terms of translating that into goals.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Both teams that have dominated or at least had the upper hand in time of possession and field position actually lost the game. So perhaps defense really is better than offense. But then again, offense did win the game. So I don't know. That's some food for thought in your philosophical thinking when you get in the shower tonight. If you do shower, hopefully you do. When you play Rocket League. Sean K, kind of keep this in for the team. Pepper gonna pop this up. I don't remember Pepper playing, so is this a bit of a sub? I guess both teams have subbed because Snipes is now back in the game as well for the West team.
So both teams, I believe, they carry 4 players with this all-star roster, so it's nice to see. I think it's after game 2 that they substituted in the earlier series as well, so everybody getting their opportunity to play. So some of that chemistry that had evolved with the starting lineups, you may have to reshuffle that just a little bit and figure out who exactly is going to come out on top with these new lineups. And we're getting some information in chat as well that the West has won every All-Star series so far. So even more fuel to the fire in terms of the great conference debate as to East versus West, who ends up being better. Can the NCS All-Star game shake that trend, or are we going to see a little bit more West dominance? So we're just going to have to wait and find out.
Well, you have to wonder if it's only just in these situations that the West is dominant, because if I do remember correctly, doesn't the East have more franchise championships than the West? I don't quite remember that, though. I'd have to mix as my books person on that one. Either way, I know both sides, both franchises on both sides have a lot of conference championships. I know those Atlanta Pandas sure do rack in those numbers a lot. On the offensive side of things, the West, Mixta trying to get something going for the team, unable to get it. Doge, quick infield, looking for the double, gets the dunk on one, still staying on the ball. Doge being an absolute menace. Pepper on the back line, last man alive, clears that one away with ease. Snipes staying on, looking for the bump, gets demoed instead in a reverse card. West racing back, just going to elect for a bang here from Sean K. Actually does get a successful clear out. Putting a little bit of offense here. Infield pass, a miss. Mixta play the miss, just wasn't quite there. Snipes. Oh my gosh, unable to snipe that one into the net. Still scoreless, the West. Shooting a little bit like the East that last game.
I think it's funny, if you average out the shots from Mixta and Snipes, I think you would have come away with a goal, but unfortunately, just a little bit too off target in both directions. They still have control of the offensive board, though. Mixta boost in the tank, sending it to the far side corner. They're going to wrap around, only get as far as Doge, but it's a little bit of a giveaway. 2 players have to combine to send that ball out and try to mitigate some of the damage a little bit earlier. Snipes, no matter what they can do, still a little bit off target. The defense not making things easy to boot as well. Sean K from their own corner, getting 1 touch. It's a giveaway again in the middle of the field for Pepper. Launching a shot on target, but safely defended away. Now Bean will try their darndest to get something going for the East. It's only in so far the West hands as well as they get themselves started back up on offense.
I don't know if anyone is keeping up with the NBA playoffs, but this is kind of reminding me of when the Celtics just missed 45 threes against the Knicks. Like, so close, but you just can't get anything to fall. And this is kind of looking like the case for both teams. Snipes infield pass Mixta, denied there by Pepper. A quick demo from Bean, trying to just clear up a little bit of space for his team. Doge off the sidewall. Played a 50, but a good fake from Sean K. Gets bumped, though, for their efforts. Infield off the corner, dangerous. A nice clear out to the midfield, trying to waste a little bit of time. Both teams playing a little bit of boomer ball. Another infield attempt. Pepper has time and space, looking for the double attempt. 30 boost double attempt. Gotta respect it. Snipe sidewall corner redirect is successful. Ooh, a little bit of a team bump here. Awkward plays. A little bit of that lack of chemistry, lack of playtime with each other, clearly showing right now. 20 seconds fast approaching. Sean K is going to get dusted by Pepper. Opportunity here, counterattack, maybe last chance here for the East team. Sean K is able to clear this one out. 12 seconds to go. Snipes looking for the corner infield. Can't quite get the boost though. Pepper, awkward touch. Doge is there to clean up. A lot of fraggles of the boost here. Sean K can't quite catch up to it. Bean, infield pass, pre-jumped by Snipes. No one there. Pepper there off the sidewall. Right, dangerous here. Sean K looking for the corner. Bean pre-jumping, a fake. Sean flip couldn't get it under his car, and yet again we go to overtime.
Third straight game in this series. Goals coming at a premium for both sides, and that just speaks to, I guess, how evenly matched both of these rosters are in terms of East versus West. But this one is going to take absolutely no time at all as Pepper finds the near post after a little bit of a dunk from Bean, and Snipes just hoping and praying that they could get their car in front of that ball. Unfortunately, it was not to be. And after a couple of extended overtime periods in the first two games, I mean, this one's over relatively quickly.
Yeah, almost a little bit of an anticlimactic ending for such a back and forth game. Obviously, that was just really all Bean setting that up off a monster dunk in the corner. And this time around, though, the scoreboard looks a lot less exciting. You got quite a few shots, a decent amount of saves, but not a lot of high score from any of these players yet. Again, just a 1-0 scoreline. But either way, on the flip side, that does give the East a 2-1 lead in this series, looking to clinch this for bragging rights to say the East is simply just better.
And if it wasn't already evident from the just general feel and flow of the games, you could see the possession and field domination statistics, both relatively toss-ups, 50-50. You could not separate these two teams if you really gave it your all, it seems like. And through 3 games, the best teams or best players in NCS on 2 of the conference assembled teams have only been able to manage 5 goals total between the 2 teams. So that in and of itself can show you just exactly how much defense is being played, but how much high quality defense as well.
That definitely goes to show that the longer Rocket League goes on in gaming history, the more and more you see the advancements of mechanics, of defensive abilities, and just pinches off the ceiling that unfortunately still hit the crossbar. Some things in this game just never change. Doge trying to get a quick one. Can't quite get it to go. Being a good pop, looking for the bump straight down. JC's there. Couldn't quite get a jump on it. I thought maybe that they had the beat, but not quite. Jat, infield pass. Snipes with the pre-jump. Maybe jumped a little bit too early for their own good. On K. Another infield. I've been seeing a lot of those infield passes and nothing really successful except maybe setting up the East to score on you.
Yeah, really, an infield pass like that as well. If you're going to rebound that off of the sidewall, generally that has to occur a little bit further into the offensive zone. You don't really want to try something like that at the midfield or in the midfield region because of that counterattack opportunity. You've got everybody pushed up. All it takes is one touch to go over all 3 defenders. And Sean absolutely taking it to the ground. You'll get the flick over the last 2 defenders. And just like that, after giving up that first goal, they strike right back.
I always knew there was something special about being built for tough. I just never knew it was going to be in Rocket League. Sean K, a nice little flick to get that answer that his team really desperately needed, because that's the first goal they've had since, 3 games ago now. That's a pretty long drought, over 10 minutes. Definitely not something you want to see, but the drought has been broken. Bean trying to get right back. Oh my goodness, look at the placement from Bean. Said, give me that top right.
And so now we've equalized the total amount of goals that we had in game number 1, which was the highest scoring game so far in this series. But I mean, with the amount of time that we have left, it seems like the offensive floodgates have started to open just a little bit. They might not have turned the valve all the way, but you started the flow just a little bit more. Maybe these teams got tired of just always playing the best defense that they could, and they decided to take just a few more risks, as you can see from that first goal as well, just trying something to break things down and open things up for your team. The Snipes will take it from the ground to the air, perhaps looking for a little bit of possession, feeding Sean K downfield. Fortunately, ends up being just a little bit of a giveaway, but a little bit of a bump on the opposing player might have extended this play a little bit further than it might have otherwise been.
Yeah, it seems really like this game alone, the West has had a few good opportunities on offense, but they've kind of been the ones playing a lot of defense, which wasn't really uncanny, but it seems like they are definitely not as comfortable in that, perhaps because Mixta is off the field. Snipes from the back wall. Corner over two. Actually, all three are committed, but just couldn't quite get it past that last man defender. Sean K, good read off the side, but they're going to have to get a little bit of offense here going. We're past that halfway mark. A good demo from JC. The pressure still mounting, almost reaching a boiling point, it seems like. Being a little bit of an awkward touch, going to set up Sean K. Pass infield is a good setup, but just a little bit too much power on that. Off the corner, JC looking for potentially a bump on one of his teammates. Snipes pre-jumping again. I'm seeing a lot of pre-jumps from the West, but they haven't really got much of an answer for it. That's a great touch from Jad. A quick shot, top left. No, Bean couldn't get it, but Doge is there to clean up. Everyone from the West respecting Bean's cleared does not get them a goal in this intense moment. Snipes again, trying to get something. A quick shot. Oh my gosh, Doge clears it away again. The West are just scrambling for anything. Another one off the infield, and no is denied again.
One post, no. Two posts, no. The woodwork playing the role of the fourth defender for the East, and the West just cannot break through no matter how close it gets. Now the East looking for an opportunity to turn this swing into their favor. They got things set up in the 18. Doge down to Bean with a little bit of a redirect opportunity. Will only send it across to the corner. They'll look to defend their lead with 60 seconds remaining on the clock. Doge, one touch. It's going to rebound effectively for Bean, but all they can do is pass it down to JC, who has absolutely no boost until they take that corner away from the West. Sitting at the midfield line, two players commit. It will be Bean who gets the ball. Snipes up and available early to play that ball, trying to get something in the relative form of safety, but they're getting bullied off of the ball on the goal line, and the East stretch their lead.
Snipes trying to do just a little bit of everything led to just a little bit too much. The corner read right to Bean and then got bumped for their efforts. Everyone from the West was scrambling, trying to find boost. They were getting starved. They were getting demo chased. And the wall broke here. Under 30 seconds to go. And at this point, the West are praying for a miracle, or it's going to be the East going home tonight with a lot of bragging rights and a lot of confidence that their confidence can bring the big guns. Doja fake might actually get the whole team. Couldn't quite get it to go now. And 7 seconds left. You have to hope for a Hail Mary at this point. Snipes just a pop infield. It's going to destroy all the time left on the clock. At this point, there is nothing left. Maybe a consolation goal for the East. Maybe trying to get one more just for even more salt in the wound. But it is going to fall to the ground. The East are going to be your all-star champions, dominating the West in the last couple games here. The ball's still floating. We're trying to get it in. Snipes, maybe an own goal, but unfortunately the post is still his best friend.
After dropping the first game of this series, it was, I wouldn't necessarily say authoritatively done by the East. These games were very close for what they were up until this game number 4. But I mean, dropping that first game, they kind of reset, they locked in, they said, hey, we've got to do a little bit better in terms of our defensive performance. And for both of these teams, it's defense well played, I would say, throughout the entirety of this series. They come away with 3 straight wins to grab the All-Star title away from the West. And based off of the information that we were told earlier, this will be the East's first All-Star title for this season. So congratulations to them for showing us, well, maybe the West isn't everything in every league. It's at least in NCS, the East are still the top dogs.
Still the top dogs indeed. And again, uh, besides all the banter and the bragging rights, and we're here for, lots of, competitive play, good Rocket League, but still it was for fun. It was to display the top talent that we have in this league right now. And I think we all saw that. We saw some great defense. We saw some incredible offense. We saw some great saves by the post and the crossbar. I mean, personally, I think that might have been my MVP. But either way, it was still a great series nonetheless, extremely entertaining. And I mean, if that's just an indicator of how the playoffs are going to go to NCS Pie, I think we're going to be in for a treat for this postseason.
Not just for NCS, but for the rest of the leagues in general, right? And I know the streams so far this season haven't exactly materialized in a way that I think any of us would have liked, but hopefully this is the first of many streams that we can document the postseason run for a lot of these teams as well. But for all that being said, congratulations to all of the all-star vote, all of the all-star vote getters, all of the all-star candidates, and all the all-star selections from Linguini League all the way up to Ramen Bowl. I was glad to have an opportunity to showcase Noodle Cup Series tonight. I know we had Linguini League, I believe that was last night. We had FL, might have been last night, and ML tonight. But everybody in every league, I think, got some airtime. So again, congratulations to them. And well, like I said, hopefully the first of many postseason playoff streams uh, coming through in the future. But that is going to be all that she wrote for tonight's broadcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Like you said, we couldn't do this without all of our viewers, all of our players, and everybody involved in the community. So this one's for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.